Welcome back to the new SEC podcast. Week 3 is in the books. We are on to team of the week for week 3, looking at the best players in the SEC from this week, putting together the all SEC team. Before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about the week. We had some pretty good quarterback play in the SEC, some not so great, but some guys to shout out and some teams to definitely shout out as they make their way up the ranks.
Yeah, a lot of good football this past week and a lot of good quarterback play to shout out. I mean, even in wins and in losses, right? We like when it came down to the wins, I mean, Ty Simpson looked good. I think Marcel Reed picked it up from a full game perspective. Aguilar looked good for a while, had a couple turnovers in that game. A lot of good quarterback play. I mean, Ole Miss has got a pretty deep quarterback room, we could say.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Trinidad Chambliss went off, and then even Austin Simmons having to come in hurt. Two good quarterbacks, like dogs in that to both of them playing through injury in that game and getting the win over Arkansas, and Taylor Green as well having a pretty good game.
Taylor Green as well having a pretty good game. I think there's a guy named Trinidad James who once said, "Don't believe me, just watch." Right. So Trinidad Chambliss decided he was going to follow that mantra and perform well against Arkansas. Around like the conference and the country, just as a fan, like it was a really good week of college football. I mean, the noon games, we talked about it for Alabama, like they dominated Wisconsin. Big time upset for Clemson going down to Georgia Tech.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Huge.
Good on LSU too. I mean, to get the win and potentially an ugly win. Don't ask Brian Kelly about it. He doesn't want to talk about it, but
Yeah.
potentially, an ugly win there. I mean, Tennessee, even in the loss, looked good. I think there were some people who doubted what they could do behind Joey Aguilar, and they looked good. Defensively,
Yep.
both these teams have some question marks as they continue on because of the amount of points that they let up and how easy it looked at times in the game. But I think that was probably one of the better games of the day. Like poor kicker missing the game winner.
Tough spot to be in, but you know what? The team gave up 38 points, and so it's not one moment or one play. Like you can't put it on the kicker. You got to put it on the team for giving up all these points and a 4th and 6 with 3 minutes left and letting Gunnar Stockton drop it in the basket to London Humphrey there. So
Yeah.
you know.
Kentucky as well, going to be interesting going forward too. Like they didn't have the best defensive performance against Eastern Michigan, but now the quarterback situation gets interesting going forward.
Yeah.
It's
been an interesting quarterback situation for Kentucky for the past couple of years, and then this year it's no different. I don't know how long Calzada's out. I know he was out for that game, and then their backup came in. Boley, I want to say is his name.
Yeah.
So should be an interesting situation there as well. And as they move back into conference play here, Arkansas played a close game, could have won. Couple missed field goals. Taylor Green looks better this season. He played well, I'd say. Mike Washington played well. I saw a stat online. I think that Sam Pittman is 7-20 or 7-18 in games decided by one score.
Yeah.
So, if you're a Razorback fan, a lot to be excited about, some stuff to be disappointed about from this week.
Yeah. It's tough when you get those close games that you can't pull that win out. I mean, be proud of the team for what they were able to do in that game. I think that they performed well, had some unfortunate turns throughout the game, but Taylor Green played well. A lot of the quarterbacks played well. So that's how we'll open, I guess this team of the week here is with the quarterback play. Most important position on the field. We had a lot of good play. John Mateer being one of them, Trinidad Chambliss being one of them, but ultimately the guy who led in nearly every statistical category for quarterbacks, Ty Simpson at Alabama, 4 touchdowns, 382 yards, 82.8% completion percentage, on target all game.
Yeah, on target all game, throwing dimes. And I mean, he's also been, able to add a little bit of a running flair to his game as well. He had a 19-yard run, 25 yards on the ground on 6 rushing attempts. He has looked really impressive. I think that UL Monroe game kind of helped him warm up, and we'll see what he can do coming up here after their bye week.
Yeah, and there's plenty of quarterbacks that could have fallen into the spot, like mentioned Mateer. I mean, even Pavia going into enemy territory and getting the win over South Carolina. But ultimately, Ty Simpson, quarterback of the week. Running back, Ahmad Hardy, transferred to Mizzou, an absolute day, 250 yards, forced 12 missed tackles.
Dog. I mean, he played against Louisiana, Lafayette. You know, I always love to shout out where the families have some family at, and for UL, tough day for them. Ahmad Hari decided to really get in his bag and do what he does best. I mean, you know, playing against Sunbelt competition, former Sunbelt running back, he knows what time it is. So 250
Mhm.
yards, great game. We had, as an honorable mention, Le'Veon Moss. He had 3 touchdowns against Notre Dame. If you stayed up late to watch that one, you saw a dominant performance by A&M, and he deserved at least an honorable mention here on the new SEC podcast for the team of the week.
Yep. And now another A&M player that deserves a spot here that we can move into, aside from Le'Veon Moss. Looking at the wide receivers, wide receiver of the week, I would say not even in just the SEC, across all of college football, probably Mario Craver, one of the best plays of the week, breaking out of a contested catch, 7 receptions, 207 yards on the day. I mean, he was an outlet for Reed the entire game.
Yeah, he's making a discussion to potentially be the best receiver in the SEC this year so far.
Yeah.
He every time he gets the ball, it feels like he has a deep threat opportunity to make it go for 6. Had an 86-yard touchdown. Completely changes what A&M can do on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and you heard, if you were watching the game, you heard a lot about what Marcel Reed wants to be as a passer. Bringing Craver in from Mississippi State, you now have good options at A&M that maybe they were missing last year or didn't feel as comfortable with. Other receivers, Chris Brazel at Tennessee. If you watch that game, especially the first quarter, you saw firepower offense, and he was a big part of it. 177 yards, 3 touchdowns, cooking all game.
Cooking all game. If you're a Tennessee fan, he reminds me a lot of Jalen Hyatt a couple years back with Hendon Hooker. Complete deep threat. He can run that fade. You know, he played well. Another top guy in the SEC, I'd say.
Yeah. So rounding out our wide receiver room, we had 2 good receivers at Alabama. One of them did a little bit better than the other. He could have had 3 touchdowns, had a drop in the end zone, but had 2 touchdowns, 165 yards. 2 pretty big plays from Ryan Williams here as our third wide receiver, huge juke. If it wasn't for the Mario Craver catch, if he probably would have had one of the bigger plays from a wide receiver this week. But that's our wide receiver room.
Yeah, 75-yard reception for a touchdown. He balled out. Shout out to the T-Rex, or the little stuffed animal he brings with him. And he's back on the field post-concussion, balling out.
We got Nate Burkircher from A&M, tight end. He only had 1 catch. 1 catch. So how do you make the team of the week? It's when you make the catch. Game winning, 4th down, 13 seconds left. Somewhat contested, really. And it gave A&M the 1-point win over Notre Dame. So that was a huge one play. You know, one
Yeah.
big play can put you here.
One big play, big drive for A&M. Statement win for Mike Elko, driving down the field with Marcel Reed, getting that last pass there on 4th down. And, you know, Nate Borkincher, if I butcher your name, you are our tight end on the team of the week.
Yeah. And the last piece of offense, team we hadn't talked about yet, O-line. We got maybe we weren't talking about this game because they ended up having to shorten the game because of how wayward it got. I think they played 10-minute second half quarters. The O-line, Mississippi State, they helped Fluff Bothwell have a day, two touchdowns and 93 yards. Blake Shapen, 2 touchdowns. He was only pressured 4 times on the day. That was the second fewest, only behind Nussmeier at LSU. So Mississippi State O-line getting it together. I mean, this team from last season just feels like everything's starting to round out. Defense is getting better, O-line better, everything's better.
Everything's looking better, and you know, their opponent Alcorn State has no sacks on the season in general. And then for this game for Mississippi State, they didn't have any sacks happen. I think they had over 200 rushing yards, so they dominated the line of scrimmage. Seth Davis, I saw, got the game ball for Mississippi State fans, and so for you deep cuts Mississippi State people, we're locked in, we're watching. But this O-line looked good. Missouri was an honorable mention. I consider putting Alabama as an honorable mention. Their O-line looked really good against Wisconsin as well, and just, you know, something to build upon for the rest of the season.
Yeah, especially looking at Alabama from week 1 to where we are now. It's a slow progression. It looks like week 1 is more of the outlier as opposed to one of the normal performances we're going to see from this team going forward. And that's the offense. To move on to the defense now.
Yeah, defensive team of the week. The SEC had a lot of dominant performances on defense, and a lot of players stand out. And, you know, we start looking at the D-line. You know, I really loved the performance by Dominic Williams and Hiru Kanu from Texas, and Dominic from Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's not a flashy position, being, you know, a nose tackle, a defensive tackle. It's they're unsung heroes of the game. It's not stat heavy, but both of these defenses, Texas and Oklahoma, were dominant, and it starts with being able to get those stops up front,
Yeah.
forcing teams to pass, and that's what Texas and Oklahoma did, and it came behind performances from these two guys.
Yeah, no touchdowns given up against Temple for Oklahoma. I think Dominic had a couple tackles in the game, maybe one TFL, but really overall good performance. When we
Yeah,
look at the edge position, a couple guys stood out to us when we were watching the games, and this is our first reference to the Auburn game. But Jared Smith from Auburn, as well as Joshua Joseph from Tennessee,
yeah,
in a
Jared.
loss.
Yeah, I mean Jared Smith, not the starter, true freshman, getting in the game, 49% pass rush win rate, logging a sack, forcing a fumble. Freshman of the week in my eyes, true freshman of the week here. Great off the edge. It adds to the Auburn pass rush that they already have. Pretty solid. Joshua Josephs, if if Tennessee would have made that kick, you probably would have seen this play everywhere. The strip sack,
Yeah.
critical late in this game. Unfortunately, they didn't win the game, so it doesn't get talked about enough. That was a huge play on the way the momentum was swinging back and forth between these two teams.
Definitely. And he was a preseason all SEC guy, according to the SEC media. Huge strip sack, probably prevented Gunnar Stockton from being one of our quarterbacks of the week, just from a turnover perspective. Tennessee's defense has some opportunities to improve, but Joshua Joseph, he did his part in this game for sure.
Yeah.
Honorable mention, I would have to say Harold Perkins,
Mhm.
kind of plays edge linebacker. I mean, 2 pass deflections, 6 tackles. I think he had 1 tackle for loss. The LSU team is going to get their love here in the rest of the segment, but Harold Perkins has been really lighting it up this season as well.
Yeah. He has. He has. And speaking on like one of the many positions that he plays on the field onto the linebackers, Vanderbilt dominant defensive performance. It doesn't matter who South Carolina had in at quarterback. Unfortunate that Sellers had to come out of that game, but Vanderbilt kept the defensive pressure all the way through. Bryce Cowan forced a fumble late in the game. Vanderbilt was already going to win the game on the strip sack forced fumble, but it was just one of those plays that stood out as the momentum continuing to build for Vanderbilt, and South Carolina starting to have less and less of a chance and optimism in the game.
Look, they made it look pretty easy to win in Williams-Brice. That's all I'm gonna say. They went in belt to ass, dominant. Bryce Cowan played his part, and of course, the turnover he forced there. Vanderbilt looks pretty serious this season so far. So
Yeah,
we also recognize Scooby Williams from A&M in a win.
yeah,
Another game for him forcing a turnover.
yeah,
He is a ball hawk,
yeah.
period. And a
Helmet
huge.
stick. Go ahead.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say helmet sticker for him 2 weeks in a row. Linebacker of the week.
We're going back to back. We love it. We love to see it for Scooby Williams, and a lot of good play. I was considering putting in one of the Weeks brothers as well as an honorable mention, and there's another linebacker from LSU had a ton of tackles in the game. But this is about impact, competition, and important plays that change the dynamic of the game. So Scooby Williams, you will get a helmet sticker, and you've
Yeah,
made the team of the week again.
and hopefully he comes back from injury after the pick. He ended up sitting out for the rest of the game, so it was I think it's a lower body injury that he has. But yeah, you could put West Week. I think it was West Weeks in here. Ended up with 12 one of the Weeks brothers, one of the three, had like
Yeah.
12, 13 tackles on the day. So you could put him in here. LSU, they were all over the place. I guess we could move to maybe one of the most efficient players out of LSU this week defensively at the safety position.
Yeah, let's do it. So when we look at the safety position, we talked about Deshaun Spears this week. I would say he's my defensive MVP of the week, right? 2 interceptions, 1 gone back for a touchdown. He had DJ Lagway seeing stars, right? Or just he wasn't seeing what he needed to see.
I mean, he only played like 10 snaps and he
Yeah,
had 2 picks and he ended up scoring as many touchdowns as the LSU offense did. So
right,
he was like one of the sole point scorers in the second half of this game. Without that pick six, this game could
right,
have gone completely different because you could see Lagway making plays that he shouldn't have made because he started to see, okay, it's a 2 possession game. I need to go deep. I only have 5 minutes left, 6 minutes.
right.
This pick six changed the back and forth nature and the way that Florida looked like they were able, it was a 1-score game until this happened. So
Yep. So let me
critical.
pose a question to you, kind of breaking up the team of the week. LSU's defense, super
Mhm.
legit, or is the competition still questionable to this point?
That's a good question because of the teams that they've played to this point. I'm gonna say legit. I'm gonna say it's one of the better defenses in the SEC, and I think it comes from the defensive backs for the most part. For me, is why I feel that way.
Yeah.
Completely blanketing guys. It was a lot of the interceptions you saw in this game came from other positions making a play on someone else's guy,
Yeah.
like being able to jump a route. I I, I thought that this LSU defense was all over the field and they had great ball knowledge of where to be, great position knowledge. So I think that they're legit. I think they're one of the better defenses in the SEC. Offense, I think you could maybe start to rank it in the bottom half.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think the Clemson loss to Georgia Tech, and then how Florida's looked the last couple weeks. I was like, is this defense legit, or is the competition? I think it's a combination of both. I think this defense is incredible, and we'll keep going down the players of the week, but had to pose that question.
Yeah, I would put them up there on better offenses or better defenses. And speaking on better defenses and ones that have slowly improved, they were preseason expected to be one of the better defenses. Aside from him at safety, we have Bray Hubbard, Alabama, 2 interceptions on the day versus Wisconsin. I think it's a game that's going a little bit understated because Alabama beat them so bad, you almost forget it's a Big Ten team that they were playing against. He had 2 picks in that game. I think he had a couple tackle for losses. He was flying all over the field, like full speed downhill, making plays.
Yeah, a huge play, right? And he forced the only 2 interceptions in the game, which 2 is a lot. Don't get me wrong, but the quarterback was having trouble, and probably a quarterback competition now. Bray Hubbard has certainly turned it around since that Week 1 performance where people were questioning his work ethic,
Yeah.
and he's starting to look really good against ULM and Wisconsin. Huge interceptions.
Yep.
Nothing else to say there.
No, no. I mean, the rest of the DBs here too. When you're looking at defensive backs, you kind of want people who don't end up seeing the ball a lot. But we had, first Dre Norwood at Mizzou, 2 pass breakups. He was a blanket on the day. He had negative yardage allowed. I think he was targeted like 4 or 5 times, only gave up 1 catch, and it was for
Yeah.
negative yards. Clamps.
People are sleeping on this Mizzou team. They could definitely do something here, and they got South Carolina next week. I think I originally had them losing to South Carolina. I might go out here and say I think they're going to beat South Carolina now.
Look, South Carolina offensively, if this Missouri defense is going well, if you go against this team right now with what South Carolina offense has looked like, you know, I don't know. I'm not believing in South Carolina offense, and I believe a lot more in this Missouri defense. So I think I might be right there with you this week.
And I'm looking at what South Carolina's defense did against Vanderbilt as well too.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
when we go down the list, we also have Grayson Littleton from Texas.
Yep.
So impressive defensive back performance from them. Limited this UTSA team to I think under 2 touchdowns. I want to say. So what
Yep.
were your thoughts on his performance and what it means for
Yep.
Texas?
He had a pick. The offense was struggling in this game from Texas, so being able to lock down defensively and give them more reps, it's great. He got the pick there. Similar coverage. I think you only let up a few yards in coverage. So, just clamps again. This Texas defense has done a great job of helping an underwhelming offense be able to stay on the field a little bit longer and get more reps.
Yeah, Sam Houston next week, another tune-up game. So
Yeah, they need him right now. I mean, they really
yeah,
do.
yeah,
Last defensive back here and last part of our defensive team of the week, we have Jonel Aguero from Georgia. This game, I'm surprised you didn't see any defense at any point in this game. It felt like they were back and forth, but as the game settled in, got a little bit better. Jonel Aguero had a pretty critical interception to end the first half. This game was back and forth at this point. That pick seemed like it turned the momentum a little bit and slowed the game down for Tennessee. Georgia ultimately couldn't convert any points, even though it was in their side of the field. Threw a pick a couple plays later, but it was
yeah.
still a critical part.
It's a critical part of the game, and it made Tennessee look human. Like when they first opened up this game, it looked like Tennessee was just going to hold a 14-point lead, at least
Yeah.
the entire game. And ultimately, when you watch the game, they're zooming in on Phil Fulmer, former coach, and he's nervous. He's wondering if they're going to make a field goal or score there. But
Yep.
Aguero was a huge piece in changing the momentum. And another guy I had from the DB position as an honorable mention for Georgia was KJ Bolden, who was able to get an interception in his sophomore season. Another huge opportunity for them to slow down Tennessee, and I think that kind of rounds out our defense, right, when it comes to
Yep.
team of the week.
Yeah. Now on to special teams, we had a couple guys here as well.
Yeah, so when we look at special teams, we're back on the dogs again. So the kicker, Peyton Woodring, he's 3 for 3 in this game, a couple field goals under 30 yards, a big one over 40, helping them, get to overtime and have the right score in that game. I think he was a Lou Graza watch list guy. So unlike the opposing kicker who could not show up for the moment, he did show up for the moment when it required it. And so he's one of our special teams player of the week. And then we also had Terry Bussey, their returner and slash receiver for Texas A&M. 2 returns, 55 yards, had one called back, could have played to A&M's advantage. Also, I think the flag, in my mind, was nowhere near the play and didn't really impact the return personally. But
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, he's overthrowing Bakari Swain for potentially trying to get 3 weeks in a row as our kick returner of the week. But that rounds out our team of the week. If you're a fan of one of these teams and you think we missed somebody who had a key performance, let us know. We'd love to hear what you saw. We had a lot of SEC games this week, so tough to keep track of them all. But if your team's mentioned on here, shout out the players that you liked. And as always, we're going to continue this segment. So subscribe and follow for week 4 team of the week. And as we get into our game previews, as we talk about some of the games upcoming, we have big games this week to watch out for.
Definitely a lot of big games this week, and we're excited to kind of preview them. I mean, even Ole Miss Tulane, I'm looking at the schedule right now. That one gets me jazzed up. You got South Carolina, Missouri. We got Oklahoma, Auburn. So we're going to be giving you all the previews here. All the fans out here who have been listening and people that tune in. Thank you so much. And if you like content like this, as mentioned, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, tune in.
Yep. And we'll catch you in the next one. I'm Hunter Zeisman here with Randall Ledet Jr. as always. Until next time.